What is going on, everyone? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. And I know it is always one of the struggles out there. How do you price a comic? Did I pay too much for a comic? Everybody always wants to know. When I am on the comic book collecting subreddit or I'm on one of the Facebook groups, that is, I feel like, a pretty large percentage of the posts. It's either how did I do with this one? Did I pay too much? How much should I pay for this? They are very common questions. And there was this post here from Skeleton Key Comics. If you don't follow them, go check them out on Instagram. And they made this post where they were talking about the price discrepancies that they were seeing with the book and the struggles that they were having with pricing comics based on eBay sales. And so I thought I would make a quick little video here to go over this and what can sometimes lead to some confusion on pricing here. And I'll give an example of a book that I sold recently as well to kind of show this too. So what we've got here is Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 6. This is the first appearance of the American Eagle, just a huge, huge key. But you can see here, it had a pretty significant variation in pricing in some recent sales over the last few months. We have a 9.2 went for $39.95. You have a raw VF Plus that says it went for $75. You have another raw copy that went for $199 with $7 shipping. So this is a huge range. And that one was apparently also around a VF or a VF Plus. So very wide range in pricing. And so the first thing, and this is why I always say, like, you have to be really cautious using those eBay sold prices for pricing your books. They're good for a quick reference, but if something looks out of line, you need to do just a little bit more digging. And so the one that clearly looks really out of line is the $75 raw. You have a raw here going for $1.99 plus $7 shipping. You have a 9.2 go for, effectively 45 or $50 when you have the shipping in there. And so we go and take a look at these sales, and you can see they are actually there. So if we go over to eBay and you type in Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 6 VF Plus and you look for search, you can find these sales. There's the $839, there's the $199, and there is the $75 sale still up there. And so, yes, this could be very confusing. One thing you can do, and this is what I always recommend to people, but I know a lot of people aren't going to do it because comic collectors are notoriously cheap. They don't want to pay for a service if they can get something for free. But I'm going to tell you again, because I say it all the time, you should go pay for one of the pricing services, whether it's GPA or Go Collect or Cover Price, something that consolidates that sales data for you. But here we've got GPA. Here I looked up Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 6, 1981. See, a 9.8 goes for $220, or at least the last sale. 9.6, $64, 9.4, $49. Now, what you can usually do when you see these types of numbers is you go like, this is the type of book that it's really only worth grading if it's in a 9.8. If it's a high grade raw, like a 9.4-ish type raw, that is probably a $20 book. And the way I look at that is that you back out effectively the cost of grading. That's what I'm doing. I'm backing out the $25 plus, something for ship or for pressing and whatever else. And you get that's probably around a $20 raw at its peak. If you want to get a 9.8 price on a raw, you're just going to have to get that book graded. Otherwise, I just don't see it happening. And then when you start getting into lower and lower grades, you can see here, if you back out that $20 or $25, you start getting down to $5, $10. And so that's probably what this book is. And when we look at these, you go, it's like, yeah, here, $839 plus $484, it's like $12. This one's like $8 or $9. This one doesn't make any sense. But based on GPA, just kind of some quick looks at graded prices, you can still get an idea of what a raw would likely go for. And so high grade, graded $200 to $250. Everything else, high grade around $20, mid grade or lower grade probably $5 to $10. And that's your pricing for it. But how do you find out if there's a problem with one of these books? So we've got the $75 sale. Here's that $75 book right here. And it looks fine, whatever. It says it's sold, but did it actually sell? And so one of the ways that you can check that, because obviously GPA isn't pulling in raw books, is I use something called the product research tool on eBay. And every eBay account, you should have this. You have access to this. And it used to be something that was just for people that had a store, like a seller's store. But you can now see this thing if you just have any account, at least from what I understand. Now, I have a store, so I can't say that for sure because I can't look at a non-account version or non-store version. But from what I understand, from what they've said, everybody has this. So when you are in your eBay seller hub or whatever you see from your account version, there are these little tabs up at the top. One of them says research and says product research. So you go to that and you will see this page here. And what you can do is you can do searches and it's going to give you the sold data. And the cool thing about this is a couple things. One is when you're searching for sold listings here on eBay's main page, you can only go back 3 months. All you get is 3 months here. But in the product research tool, you can go back 3 years. So you can get much further back sales data than what you can get on that front end with eBay. Now, the other thing that is very important here is this shows you the actual sold value. And I'm going to show that with an example from one of my books later. But it's going to show you the actual sold value. So if somebody sent an offer, if it was or best offer or whatever else, then you're going to see what it actually sold for, not what eBay shows on the front end. And so if we go there and we search for Marvel 2-in-1 annual number 6, and we can see that this book supposedly sold on November 18th. Okay, so we go to the product research tool and we look. I ordered it by most recent to oldest, and I think I went back 6 months, something like that. And so you can see here, there is nothing listed for November 18th with that title. And so what that tells you is the sale didn't actually go through. Somebody may have selected to buy it, but they didn't actually pay for it. That is usually what you see when you see this. Now, one thing, they also, at least at one point, they didn't pull in the international ones, like if somebody was selling outside the country, but this is inside the US. You can see here, it's located in Gig Harbor, Washington, United States. So I have no reason to think that this is an international type sale. And so that tells me that this November 18th sale for that never actually went through. And so it's not a real sale. You can just disregard it. But this also shows you, if you look through this, and it's going to get some false positives too. It's going to pull in sometimes lots of books where you have multiple books that are being sold, but it shows you what these books actually sold for, and you can figure out what the approximate value is here as well. Now, like I said, I think with GPA, you have a pretty good idea what this sold for. With this, you have a pretty good idea what this sold for. It's like I said, like a $10 book, $15 book, somewhere in that range. Max high end, probably $20 to $25 for a raw. Now, one other thing you can do if you want to check the validity of a sale is you can go to 130 point. Now, I did look this one up, and you can see here, it does say best offer accepted price 75, but it doesn't, because it doesn't show up in the product research tool, I don't think the sale actually went through. So this is saying that it wasn't like some best offer where it actually sold for like $10. At least in theory, the person potentially was going to pay 75, but because it doesn't show up here, I don't think they actually paid, which means it's not a real sales number. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show real quick is where this can become very important. And because it's hard to know for sure with looking at somebody else's sales, but we're going to look at a book that I just sold, or a lot of books that I just sold. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I picked up that comic book collection recently, and I have been putting those books up for sale. And one of the lots that I recently put up for sale was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lot, issues 8, 9, 11 through 13, 15, 17, 18, and 20, a 9 comic book lot right here. It says here, when you look on eBay, $135. And that's all highlighted. Doesn't have a cross through or anything like that. So if you looked at this, you might go, that sold for $135. If you look up this in the product research tool, you will see that it actually sold for $120. That was what somebody offered. I accepted that offer, and this is what it sold for. And so this is where you can see it is showing you what the actual sold value is. And I can confirm that because I know that's what it sold for. This was my lot. And so it shows $135 here. It actually sold for 120. And so this is where you can see that this product research tool really does show you what the item actually sold for. Now you can also use 130 point for this. You can see that right here as well. If you look this one up, it shows that it did sell for $120. So it's showing the actual sold price. But personally, I mean, you could use 130 point, but if you're already on eBay and you have an eBay account, just use this. It's a lot easier. It's directly from eBay. You know there's not going to be any issues there. And so this is the one that I would really recommend using if you aren't going to use GPA or Go Collect or Cover Price or whatever. Use this. Now, it's not going to have all the sales that come from Heritage and Comic Link and Comic Connect and Hakes and all those other places that sell books, My Comic Shop. But at least if you want accurate sales numbers, what the books actually sold for, this is the place to do it. So hopefully this helps you. You know, if you are trying to price out comics to figure out, get an idea what to sell something for, you're trying to get an idea what you might want to pay for something. If you want an accurate picture of what those items are actually selling for, this is the place to go. Hopefully this helps you. If it did, please hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and I will see you on the next one.